I-V-M.
Hey, so what do you think Jishnu, Dinkar and I have in common? Well, it's all that we are solid underachievers. But if you like the opposite, which is that of a superachiever, then you should definitely check out the Vishal Gondal Show, where Vishal, the host who I just named and is also in the title of the show, The Vishal Gondal Show, interviews superachievers like Ronnie Screwwala, a great superachiever, Amish Tripathi, another great superachiever. So, if you're an achiever and would like to become a superachiever, then you should probably check out The Vishal Gondal Show.
Hello and welcome to the Geek Fruit Podcast. My name is Dinkar and with me this week is Tejas.
It's my pleasure
Yeah.
to be here.
Nice to have you.
Thanks. Okay, cool. We're going to take about 10 minutes before we get into today's episode.
And meditate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Headspace. No, we're gonna read out some long overdue emails
Yes.
from us to read. Not
Yeah.
they were not long overdue from the delivery's
Yeah.
point of view. Okay, cool. So the first one from our good friend Emil. He
Wait,
says,
hold on. I have to do the drop. It's time for a mail from Emil.
Okay. Hey guys, have any of you had the chance to watch the TV show Penny Dreadful, currently on season 3? The overall concept of the show reminds me of the movie The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where various groups of people with specific assets unite to fight the supernatural threats. I would like to hear your thoughts on this show. Have you seen this?
No, I haven't.
I have not.
Have
That
you?
is quite dreadful.
Welp, yeah, this is.
Aren't
highly
Penny
dreadful
Dreadfuls
at first.
those books you used to pay a penny? That's what the name comes from, I'm assuming?
No, I
Penny
think
Dreadful
it's...
was what you like, pulp basically, or pulp fiction.
Really?
Yeah.
So like your horror pulpy things?
Yeah.
I thought it was about that lady from Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
'Cause she
see, I don't watch
sucks.
that either, man. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't either. You know why? Because Penny Dreadful.
Oh, okay, all right.
Anyway, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen though.
Love LXG. I've read the comics. I've done the 3D glasses also.
What's the 3D glasses?
You've not seen in the League
What?
of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So the last 15 pages, they've inserted like a 3D glasses, and the pages are in 3D. So you read them.
What?
I see. Yeah, it's cool. So I've done
Ah,
that.
shit.
I love the movie, even though it was pretty shoddy.
It's a nice, fun,
Dude,
pulpy movie.
It had Nasruddin Shah as Captain Nemo, bro.
Frickin' Nemo,
Sold,
man.
Sold.
Yeah.
So, and that car in that movie is awesome. It's really, really good. Okay,
So it's
cool.
a solid movie,
Yeah,
and
it's-
if it reminds Emil of Penny Dreadful, we should check out Penny Dreadful.
Perhaps we should. Since there's no LXG
It's on
movie
season
on
3
the...
though.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine. That's not bad.
It's
How
not
many
bad.
episodes per season?
I
Must be
feel
only
like
10.
if anybody tells me about a show and goes like it's on season 3, I'm like, well, too late.
Dude, no, man. If it's like season 3 or less, I want to say. Because after that is like, dude, Game of Thrones is like season 8 now? What?
Yeah.
And like people are going to be
I
like, oh,
actually
you got to
caught
watch
up-
it before it ends.
I
you know?
never watched Game of Thrones until season 3.
Oh,
So,
what, really?
Yeah.
Another show I watched right from the beginning before the hype.
Ah.
Anyway, next email
Yes.
from Dushyant. Dushyant says, hey guys, love watching your videos. Keep up the good video. Keep up the good works. I was wondering if you could suggest me some stores for buying Marvel and DC comics, as there are no stores around my area and the internet has very vague answers. I know this is a weird request, but it would help me get started on comics. Dinkar, what can we suggest to this man in terms of retail?
In terms of retail, I would say, well, we don't know his area, so I don't know what he means.
Dushyant sounds like he's from Bombay. I don't know.
Well, there's options in Bombay.
Yeah.
There is the Tidal Waves is a great place to
Tidal
check
Waves is one of the last few good places. Landmark's shut, so there's not that
Yeah.
many spots to do it. I would suggest going attending Comic-Con because they have a bunch of collected
solid
volumes.
bet,
That's the
yeah.
problem in India. They don't release comics as they
What
release in
Tidal
the US.
Waves does, though, they have a little section called the Superhero Store, which is a franchise out of
Correct.
Bangalore.
Yes, they do.
And they can also custom order stuff for you.
But just comics, or is it solely merchandise?
It's merch and comics, I believe.
Okay.
And Amazon, man, you got to keep an eye
That's
on
what I was gonna
Amazon
say.
because
So
they have these like
internet-wise-
ridiculous sales sometimes.
Internet-wise, yeah, definitely check out Amazon and whatever, Flipkart and all that stuff to find wherever you can find comics. But again, you'll get collected volumes there. What I would suggest is, Dushyant, you check out Marvel's and DC's unlimited option, which is that, the
apps,
online comic
yes.
store. So basically you get if you have an iPad or phone, preferably an iPad,
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to read these comics. You can't read them on the computer as much as you can.
That's solid on a
intuitively,
tablet,
On a tablet, it's
yeah.
great. So just get a subscription. It's not that expensive. And if you're really into it, and you can read there's it's literally at your fingertips, man. Like a whole volume, like a whole collection of comic books.
The unfortunate thing is there's no proper DC equivalent to Marvel Unlimited.
There is.
Is there? No, there isn't. So
sure
Marvel Unlimited is all the archives, like literally everything. You could say Fantastic Four from 1966 and you will find it. DC has a limited collection.
Okay, I see.
From what I understand.
But still, it's a good place to start.
It's a great place to start for sure.
And I'm sure all the big editions, like all your Killing Jokes, etc., will be there.
Those are, yes. Yeah. Comixology, also a good option.
Comixology, yes, Comixology, of course. All right. Thanks, Dushyant. Next mail, Asmita says, "Hey guys, just wanted to write in to welcome Janam to the podcast."
Hey, welcome,
Janam
Janam.
says, "Oh, I'm really looking forward to hear from her in future podcasts. She was on our last week's episode, so check that out. I also wanted to say goodbye to Naveen. He was so wonderful in this podcast. All his jokes were awesome. In parentheses, yes,
all of them.
Wish him all the luck in whatever he's doing. He's going to be on the podcast.
He's around. He's just moved on from us.
Yeah, he's doing better than us. So that's what happens. I have a quick point on Black Panther 2. This is what she says. So much has been written about there isn't much to say anymore. However, I thought Black Panther was quite similar to the Bahubali movies. Black Panther is obviously infinitely better.
Hey now, Asmita.
The central characters like the two cousins fighting for a throne, the general being loyal to the throne despite her opposing views, the headstrong love interest of the protagonist who doesn't always share his ideology, and the parent figure who makes very questionable decisions are some of the many similarities I noticed. Would Bahubali's immense success be a result of it being a basic superhero movie? Also, shouldn't these similarities encourage Indian filmmakers, not just Bollywood, to make some good Indian superhero movies with a female superhero maybe? Do you think the next Indian superhero could be as good as Black Panther? If not in the craft, at least in the character development, use of metaphors, and the larger messaging. Sorry about so many questions. You can just answer one of these. There isn't enough time. I feel very empowered and euphoric after watching this movie. Same thing happened after Wonder Woman. I wish such strong feelings would be harnessed by Indian filmmakers to create beautiful cinema. Amen, sister.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think she's on point. I mean, we've been talking about this.
On the head, yeah,
we've been talking about this for a while.
There's a
Bahubali and Black Panther similarity. I
Very
did not
similar.
see that. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I didn't draw
sense.
that line either, but it makes sense because Black Panther essentially plays off of the classic superhero myth, which is of course the Shakespearean drama Lion King.
It is a Shakespearean. It's
that famous Shakespearean play Lion King.
Yeah, it's like Hamlet almost. Except
I mean, the Lion King is Hamlet.
The Lion King is Hamlet. That's what I meant. Yeah. So I think I definitely think what makes Black Panther work, obviously apart from its apart from the black excellence, is just the fact that it's a strong story and stuff like that. I think
as opposed to the Telugu excellence in Bahubali.
Yes, but my point. My point is,
what is so funny about Telugu excellence, Tejas? Andhra represent.
Dude, I was born in Andhra Pradesh, and now I'm from Telangana.
As was I.
Yeah. I mean, like I was born in Hyderabad. But now here's the thing.
Hyderabad, born and raised, except the raised part.
Yeah, I can never say the words born and raised together. Yeah. But my point is that I think before we get to Indian superhero films, everybody is so passionate about the CGI and the effects, and they're so committed to doing that they forget about the story. DC is is an example of that. They have all the effects, they have everything, and still they can't create a good film. So apart from Wonder Woman, so I'm just saying that maybe Indian cinema really needs to just get a good story going, man. Get good character development. Yeah. Right now we don't even have that.
Yep.
We have rubbish. Anyway, let's move on. Thanks, Asmita. Shivank says, "Hey guys, I'd like to recommend the Netflix show Altered Carbon. It's like Black Mirror, but with a plot."
Ooh, shots fired.
Ouch. We are checking out Altered Carbon. I've seen a couple of episodes. It's quite good.
We'll be talking about it pretty soon.
I hope so. Shivank also says, "I have two GOT theories. The Mad King is somehow connected to the White Walkers. He came to know about the Whites, and in an attempt to destroy them, ordered wildfire. But he got mad, and somehow the rest is history. Also, the Three-Eyed Raven, the old dude, may be Brandon Stark himself." I think these are a couple of theories that have been floating around. I don't know about the first one, but the Three-Eyed Raven being Brandon Stark in a time loop, yes, that's been... and I'd love to see that finally be confirmed. That's great. So that would be good. I definitely agree with that.
I think it might just
Shivank has one
We won't know until what, 2019? 2020?
Next year.
Next year?
Yes.
Yeah, that's 2019.
They finished shooting, by the way. Yeah. And the spoilers are, by the way, the ending is out on the internet.
I'm going to give you a spoil. I saw that ending, and I'll tell you what happens.
Go for it.
Basically, Brandon Stark says, "I am the Three-Eyed Raven." Then he sits down on the throne and he says, "This really has been a game
Of
Thrones. End credits.
Okay, and his last email, I think something really cool would be if you guys did LOTR for and The Hobbit for episode 111 because 11T1. That's a missed opportunity, I
That
feel.
ship has sailed.
But the 1111th episode.
I guess we'll have
sure.
to do that. We should
yeah.
talk about LOTR and the Hobbits.
Man, because it's been so much time since we should do one.
Yeah, we should do one.
All right, so those are all our emails. Wow, we had quite a few to get through.
Yeah.
But we're done now. We're going to take a short break, come back, and we're going to talk about animation, but this time adult animation.
Ooh.
This sounds weird. I don't know why I did that.
That doesn't sound
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
Tired of the shrill madness of primetime television?
Can't make sense of your morning newspaper anymore?
Then take a break to delve into some real conversations about policy, politics and economics.
Join me, Pavan Srinath,
And me, Hamsini Hariharan.
as we analyze news and views from India and the world and talk to experts on a wide range of issues on the Pragati podcast.
Episodes out every fortnight.
You can find us on the IVM Podcasts app or wherever else you get your podcasts from.
Hi, welcome back to Geek Fruit, the podcast.
Geek Fruit : the podcast.
Yeah, I didn't want to say adult animation so dark and weirdly.
Oh man, they just promised me this. If we ever release an album for the podcast, it'll be Geek Fruit : the podcast : the album.
Music created
From
and
and inspired by the podcast. Of course, this has to happen.
Oh god, yeah, 100%. We have enough songs on the Geek Fruit themes.
That's
There's
true.
a Nerdatorium theme, there's this theme, and now we're coming up with one more, so yeah.
Teaser.
Teasing. Okay, so animation and in the adult context, and when I say
Yeah.
that, I mean adult themes, more mature humor, things like
Slightly
that.
more mature, yeah.
Yeah, and stuff that we started watching when we were not adults.
That is true.
Like
I mean,
The Simpsons.
all of this stuff, yeah. You have to start with The Simpsons, I suppose.
Because adult cartoons and animation started with The Simpsons.
If
kind
The
of.
Simpsons was a person, they would be well past adulthood by now.
Yeah, how? It's 28, 27?
29 seasons.
My Jesus.
It's...
Simpsons has enough content out there that, yeah, my God, I don't know what to say.
You
It's
know how
like-
they say, like, The Simpsons predicted everything, right? Like, The Simpsons
Yeah.
predicted 9/11, which is a popular theory.
Yeah.
Which is true, but also, did you know the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles predicted 9/11?
In which episode? And
I
like how?
forget, but basically there was this one episode that begins with Shredder on
Yeah.
top of a building looking at the Empire State and going like, I'm going to take that down or something like that.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
Well, sure.
So not in as much detail as The Simpsons
I don't think
did.
destroying a building is as original a thought. Like,
As
it's
flying a plane.
Yeah, maybe flying a plane into it, sure. But like, if 9/11 wasn't the first time a plane flew into the Twin Towers.
It's true.
It happened in the 90s as
Yes.
well. So I
Shame
think
on you, Terrace. Be more original.
Yeah, I know, or not. Please don't.
Just
But
leave us alone.
leave us alone. But yeah, I think the Simpsons predicting stuff has been like a thing that's been
They
going around the
predicted the
internet.
Trump presidency.
So that, that is creepy though.
That is very
like
creepy.
because it's not just predicting the Trump presidency; it's also the exact shot of him coming down on that escalator,
Yeah.
which is
How
bizarre.
is that even possible?
So there's some which have been, which happened after the fact, and the internet just being the internet just kind
Yeah.
of collates all of it together. But there's some things which are like actually true, like NFL results, like Super Bowl results, things like that. It's just been really prescient and just really smart about it. I mean, that way you can say that Back to the Future also kind of predicted the Trump presidency because
Biff is Trump.
is Trump, right? And the whole thing is modeled after him. And I think everyone's imagination of a dark future was when a rural capitalist became the
Man,
president.
can
And
you-
that's
yeah.
exactly what happened. So
we're saying that the darkest fantasy
in the darkest
that these
timeline.
writers... Yeah, we are in the darkest
yeah,
timeline.
we're in the darkest timeline.
Good
so,
Lord.
So the Simpsons been really good about predicting stuff. But
Also, I think it might be because they're from the Illuminati.
Matt Groening, sure. Could. Well, Matt Groening may not be part of the Illuminati, but I'll tell you what he is part of. The Rock Bottom... I can't remember the name of the full band, but it's called the Rock Bottom something.
Oh, what is this?
And it's a band that features only authors, okay, playing music.
What?
So it's like Maya Angelou, I think,
Maya Angelou's in a band?
Stephen King, Matt Groening.
Wait, I
all
think
of
I've
these
heard
guys
of
are
this.
in a band, and like it's like a kind of the Rock Bottom Redeemers, I think, or something it's called like
Nice.
that. And it's just a bunch of authors and writers in a band together when they play like a couple of charity shows a year, and they all like play guitar, drums. It's crazy.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's quite cool.
Freaking Matt Groening, he can do anything.
He can
so
do
he
anything.
created The Simpsons. And
But
yeah.
he did not. He did create The Simpsons, but he didn't give them the iconic yellow look.
Who
was
did?
one of the animators on the show.
Oh, really?
And they did it because they wanted to kind of break away from what you would see on television. And they said that when people are flipping through television, like channels, you'd immediately stop at The Simpsons because every person was in yellow.
Was
And
yellow.
it's just like that. Yellow is everything. So-
Except Apu,
Except Apu, yeah, because he's...
who's a healthy
he's
brown.
yeah. But yeah, so I think...
Speaking of their look, though, a meme that's been going around on the internet of late has been Simpsons characters looking forward.
Oh my God, I saw that.
That is the creepiest thing in the world.
It is scary. How have we gone so many seasons without them actually? They just kind of just turn, right?
They
Because the
just
whole
turn.
thing's 2D.
So, yeah, they're always in profile or at least like 3/4 on, so you never realize. They never look directly at camera.
Oh my
and when
God.
they do,
It is
that
a
entire
nightmare.
face is a nightmare.
Yeah.
You suddenly realize like a flat nose and that spiky hair is like the creepiest thing in the
It's
world.
damn creepy. Yeah.
It's the weirdest.
It's like stuff of nightmares, kind of.
Yeah.
But just talking about The Simpsons, obviously this show has kind of paved the way for so many people. I mean, Seth MacFarlane, when he began Family Guy and stuff, was just out and out, cited for
He was
being a
riffing off
ripoff.
of The
Yeah,
Simpsons.
and he did, and he's made an entire career, so to speak,
Pretty
out of
much.
just taking that exact same concept and just pushing the gear even, like one forward. So I think obviously Simpsons. I mean, what's to say about Simpsons, man? What's
be
your
fair to-
favorite thing about Simpsons?
My favorite thing about The Simpsons? So, wait, tell me this. Do you know people who don't like The Simpsons? Because I know a lot.
Dude, I know a lot. Like I think my parents used to watch like
Yeah.
Simpsons and stuff. Like, I mean, like if it was on, they'll watch an episode. It's not like, and I think that just speaks of the, this is a universal quality of it. I mean, like the humor is just insane. Like it's just random and funny. Like I remember I became a huge fan of Family Guy and I used to
Yeah.
watch that a lot. And then I was just like, wow, this is like way crazier than The Simpsons were. And,
It
and
was.
Simpsons is pretty
Like-
docile. But then I went back and watched a couple of Simpsons. I was like,
And
no,
The Simpsons is pretty nuts as well.
It's as nuts as it gets.
And I feel like The Simpsons always had a stronger grip on story. Like Family Guy was basically a bunch
100%.
of jokes strung together.
Yeah. Simpsons
Whereas
definitely has a story, yeah.
It always had an arc. You felt
Yeah.
for those characters sometimes. There would be genuine moments of like sadness and happiness.
Oh my God, the Simpsons movie was just
Yeah.
like, was full feel. There were definitely feels in that, yeah.
What The Simpsons is also famous for is inspiring like literally everyone in comedy today. They all came up.
Yeah,
so like either
man,
they
shit.
worked on The Simpsons or they were inspired by The Simpsons.
Dude,
The other thing is The
yeah.
Simpsons did it. So whenever anyone comes up with something,
Yeah.
it's like a saying in writers' rooms across America and comedy.
The Simpsons
So
did
yeah,
it.
The Simpsons did it.
Yeah. Actually, the Flintstones did it.
Well, yeah.
In our previous episode of animation, we've talked about how the Flintstones kind of really set the
They set a
bedrock.
template
Sorry.
that essentially the bedrock.
Sorry.
Well
Okay.
done.
Nice.
Good joke, but The
Thanks.
Simpsons did it.
Yeah. I'm sure they did.
They
No.
probably did.
But the thing about the other thing which I really love about The Simpsons is that it's kind of given birth to so many great creators like who have spawned off the show, like
Conan O'Brien.
Conan, of course. But some of my favorite like artists right now, like Liz Klimo,
Was also
a
from The
Simpsons.
Simpsons,
Then
correct.
you know this guy on Facebook and social media. He's called Simpsons Artist, and it's called
Right.
Cartoons That I've Gone and Done. I'm sure you've seen it. It's like these really bizarre looking characters with weird faces and stuff. It's just like absolutely different from The Simpsons, but the humor is so on point. And I
Nice.
think it's just that becomes like a foundation course for practically all the big
And this
guys.
guy was a Simpsons writer.
Yeah. Simpsons. No, he was a Simpsons,
Simpsons
artist.
artist, okay.
Yeah, and all these guys have gone on to kind of just become. It reminds me a lot of. I mean, I guess these guys did it first again,
Yeah.
as per usual. But Adventure Time, the same thing happened. At Adventure Time,
Correct,
right? Pendleton
yes.
Watts started it, and then all the guys who were on the show went and started other shows like Over the Garden Wall. Steven Universe, things like that. So these guys are
And
just
based
like
in that family.
yeah, exactly. And the humor kind of has, man, Simpsons humor is timeless, dude.
Yeah.
It is really timeless. And they're so rich. They're all so rich, man. The
How so?
actors,
Oh,
the guys
yeah,
who
I mean,
voice,
yes, they're
like Dan
literally super
Castellaneta,
rich.
he's like, they make like what, 500,000 episodes or
Well
something?
deservedly. They've been doing it for
Insane.
29 years now.
Insane.
Nuts.
They're maybe some of the most paid television
Probably.
cast.
They're iconic, right?
Yeah. And
Like,
Dan Castellaneta,
you know those voices anywhere.
like Homer is in every episode from
Yeah.
start to finish. Like there's some episodes where Marge is not there, or even like Bart. No, I think Bart is still there, but Maggie and all that stuff. But
There are in and outs, I think.
every
but yeah.
episode has to have Homer, and that's
Yeah.
like it's insane. Yeah. So yeah, I think
Another
Simpsons.
of my favorite Simpsons alumni, like my favorite guy making stuff right now, Greg Daniels.
Oh wait, Greg Daniels is who again?
He created The Office. He created Parks
oh
and
shit!
Rec.
Of course, yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah,
current
yeah.
best sitcom on TV, The Good Place. Solid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's
Not
killing it.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, the greatest sitcom.
And he also created Brooklyn Nine-Nine, by the way.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Wow. So
yeah,
this guy's
the man's genius, and
Yeah.
like he's had a hand in all of these.
Oh, no,
and
no doubt,
he
no doubt.
ran The Simpsons in the early teens, I think.
nice.
Or the early tens.
Jesus. Yeah.
Cool.
Man, amazing cast.
Do
Amazing
you
thing.
remember any particular episodes that,
I
or
think
guest stars? Because that's the other thing they're famous
guest
for.
stars, man, when Paul and Linda McCartney were there in an episode
great.
together. That was great.
Or
It's
George
one-
Harrison in that episode that traces the history of Homer's barbershop quartet,
Yeah.
which is called the B
Yeah, I
Shops.
think I've seen this. Oh god, dude! I'm telling you, there's this one scene in that same Paul McCartney episode, which is I think to date is my favorite, funniest scene, where basically I think it's Lisa who is trying to advocate to change the entire Springfield to like vegetarianism and stuff like that, and she's telling everybody to go, vegetarian and stuff. And she keeps trying to enforce it, and she becomes crazier and crazier and crazier. And then finally, at the end, when she loses and everything, she feels bad. And then she goes to the Quickie Mart where Apu is there. And Apu's like, hey, I want to show you somebody. And takes him through it's so funny. There's like the non-alcoholic beverages section
Right.
is not really, it doesn't exist. It's just like a door and it goes into the secret terrace. And over there, it's like Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney are just
In
chilling.
like a garden kind of thing,
and
right?
it's like
Yeah, I
this,
remember.
just real chill garden. And Paul explains to Lisa that it's not about trying to change everybody. You have to try and convince who you
Yeah.
can. And then she's like, oh my god, thank you so much, Paul McCartney. And then he's like, so Lisa, would you like to hear a song? And she's like, oh my god, are you serious? And she's like, yes, I would love to. And he's like, okay, Apu. And then Apu starts singing.
Oh man, brilliant.
It's just so good. It's the funniest thing I've
They
seen.
always use these guest stars perfectly. Stephen Hawking was great.
man, of
and
course.
I just read this in one of the obituaries about him.
Yeah.
He used to hang out in the Simpsons writers' room all the time. Just
Yeah, yeah.
like, can you imagine Stephen Hawking going like, hey, let me hang out with some smart people. I'll go to the
Wha-
Simpsons writers' room.
That makes absolute
It
sense.
makes perfect
man.
sense.
Yeah.
Because the Simpsons writers are all like Harvard math geniuses.
Yeah. Dude, they're so
Who
like.
can make jokes in their spare time.
Dude, they can predict the future.
Yeah.
They figured out the time continuum, not Stephen Hawking.
There's a legit mathematical theorem that was proved in The Simpsons. That a
Yes, I read
mathematician-
about
yeah.
this. Dude, what is that, man?
They've done everything: math, science, and jokes.
Math, science, and jokes.
I
The three, the things in
The
your
three
board exams
everythings.
you should have had.
My favorite, I think possibly my favorite episode of The Simpsons and my favorite line in The Simpsons
Yeah.
is, I forget what it's called, but Homer gets a gun in it. So let's say it's called Homer Gets a Gun.
Yeah.
I think it has like some funny name.
Yeah.
But it's a great episode. So the entire thing is just about how Homer gets a gun and suddenly he feels like this powerful alpha male.
Correct.
And Marge is losing her mind. She's like, you cannot have a gun. It's not,
Yeah.
homie, it's not safe.
homie.
Oh my god, those are terrible Marge impressions, but yeah. So
Oh, God.
eventually she leaves him.
Oh,
And
for the 8
yeah.
millionth time,
For
I
the
guess.
8 millionth time, and he still can't resist the gun. So when she catches him with the gun again, she's like, homie, how could you do this? And he's like, Marge, I felt such power when I held that gun. I felt like God if he was holding a gun.
Oh god.
So,
Man,
yeah.
God in the Simpsons universe is the only person who has 5 fingers
Yeah.
on each hand. It's so
Maybe
bizarre.
that's why he's God, because
Yeah,
of those
yeah.
opposable thumbs.
No, so that and other things that I really love about just a couple more anecdotes. One of my favorites is from the Simpsons movie when Arnold Schwarzenegger is the president.
Yeah.
And he gives him
McBain.
like 5 options and he's like, Mr. President, we have these 5 options for you to take action on Springfield. And he's just like, I don't know about this. I was elected to lead, not to read. Which is like the best line. All that stuff, the Tree House of Horror episodes. Man, they have
Are always
enough
great.
Tree House of Horror episodes to make a couple
Like
of
a movie by
seasons
itself,
of Tree House of Horror Simpsons episodes only.
They do these
like
breaking the format ones
Yeah,
brilliantly.
man,
There's
it's
another
crazy.
great one called like 32 short films about Springfield or something like
yeah?
that. Which is again the same thing, except I think none of the Simpsons themselves are in it. So like there's like a 5-minute shot on Skinner, there's one on Apu,
Nice.
there's one on the bus driver dude.
Favorite Simpsons character?
Favorite Simpsons character? I think Lisa, man. She's
Yeah.
best. Oh, Maggie.
Maggie, I mean,
The one who famously shot Mr. Burns.
Yeah, I know exactly. Oh my god, what a great
Man,
episode.
that's such a good one.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like
so good.
that changed the world when it came out.
It was like the first time it had like a cliffhanger or something. Yeah,
So
I
it
remember.
was based off of something on Dallas, which was this like long-running soap. That ended with a cliffhanger where this guy called JR, who's like the tycoon
Right,
of
yeah.
Dallas. It's about an oil family, I think.
Of course it
he's
is.
shot,
Yeah.
and the entire season people were like, "Who shot JR?"
Yeah.
So the Simpsons did "Who Killed Mr. Burns"
Nice,
just
yeah,
after
yeah,
that,
yeah.
and they actually animated alternate endings for it.
Amazing.
So no one would know.
That's so good.
That's
so
insane.
Good. Wow. Anyway,
yeah.
Simpsons.
We could do this all day.
Yeah, is actually shit, man. The more I talk about Simpsons, the more I realize that
It's a
like,
great show.
It's not just a great show. I mean, like, it's almost like Seinfeld, where you think you haven't watched that many, like you think you don't know, because there's so much
There's
out there
so many, yeah.
that you don't think you know, but then you talk about it like shit. You've seen so much because it's just by the very like virtue of existing for so long, it's impossible to have like avoided it. You know,
Like just the great eras of Simpsons that people talk
Yeah,
about. Like
yeah.
some people like, man, season 3 to season 8 was great, and then
Yeah.
it was terrible after that.
Dude,
and some
I
people
would-
like, man, season 12 to
Dude,
season
19
16
onwards also like so good. I
That's
remember
solid.
watching 19. Man, like the other thing about Simpsons, it's like the only TV show I can think of that I've watched in every time in my own life. You know,
Yeah,
I
'cause
can
it's
remember
always
watching
been
it as a
around.
kid. I can remember watching it as a teenager through college. Like, you know, like that's
Yeah.
insane, right?
and it's still like it still feels so familiar.
Yeah,
like I
it's
checked in
awesome.
last year or 2 years ago. I just checked in to see what was happening, and it's still great. It
Yeah.
looks very sharp now. It's all
yeah,
in HD.
it's so good. I really love that.
and
It's
there's a
HD.
new extended intro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So instead of just starting on the house, there's like a section where it goes through all of Springfield before.
Oh, but that's always been there.
No, that's new.
So
That's
they
from
ha-
like the
no,
last
no.
6-7 years, I think.
No, man, dude. Like, so you're talking about the one where they show the factory and then it goes into his back.
No. There's a section with like a statue of Jebediah Springfield
Oh, nice.
who founded it. So now
Correct.
another new gag is the inscription at the bottom of the statue changes
Keeps
every
changes.
time.
Nice.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
and of
dude,
course
those
there's the
gags,
classic,
man.
yeah.
Those gags are
The
just
fact
too
that
good.
I didn't realize that Lisa plays a different saxophone lick every time. Yeah.
Every time, dude. Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I thought they
she's
just
done
repeat
some,
once in
she's
a
done
while.
some famous stuff. It's great. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Danny Elfman, man.
Man,
Apparently
he's
wrote it in
great.
like 2 days or something.
And it's
It's
iconic.
classic,
Ting,
dude.
ting, ting, ting,
Yeah,
ting, ting.
so good. All right, okay, cool. We're done with Simpsons.
now.
Should we take a break? Let's take a
Wait,
break.
before we take a break, tell us, I mean, it's an offshoot of, not really a spin-off, but from the family that gave us The Simpsons. I want to knock this off because I don't have a lot to say about
Futurama.
it.
Yeah, great show.
What are your thoughts on it? Great show. I never got into it very seriously.
I know a lot of people who love Futurama. I
Yeah.
love Futurama obviously because my favorite guy, this guy, John DiMaggio's
Bender.
is Bender, right? And he's
Bender,
on
the
Adventure
bendy
Time.
robot,
So
yeah.
so I
He's
mean,
great.
he's a great voice actor. The show is pretty zany.
The show, it's very
How
similar
many seasons
to-
did they have?
I think they did 2,
Maybe
then they
3?
got cancelled,
Yeah,
then
they got-
people
I got it,
forced it to come back,
Correct,
and then they
correct.
did 2 more, and then they shut it down, I
Yeah,
think.
good show.
Good show. Though it has...
It's the Jetsons to Simpsons Flintstones.
It really
right?
is, and it's great. The humor's a little zanier,
Yeah.
and it's fun. It never engaged me that much, except
Same.
for one particular episode that might be the saddest episode I've ever seen. It's called Jurassic Bark. I looked it up. Have you ever seen it?
No, I don't think
So
so.
it's basically about Fry, who's the main character,
Correct, yeah.
who is like a pizza boy who got
Correct, yeah.
frozen in time, and then he wakes up like decades later. He comes across this fossil of a dog, and he realizes it's his dog from back in the year 2000.
Damn.
So he talks to Professor Zoidberg or someone, and they're like, you know what, we can resurrect this dog. And Fry's like ridiculously excited. He's like, oh my god, we can have my
Yeah.
dog back. And the entire episode is him like trying to get the dog back, and Bender getting jealous. He's like,
Correct.
oh my god,
He's
Fry's gonna
best
have like a new
friend,
friend. And then just before it happens, before they're about to do the resurrection, the professor says that, hey, I guess your dog died like in about 2015,
Yeah.
about 15 years after you got frozen in time. And then like Fry has a change of heart when he's like, man, Simo, which is
Yeah,
his dog's
correct,
name,
yeah.
he lived a full life, and I guess like he moved on to other owners and stuff. Why resurrect him and like bring him back? It's
Yeah.
fine. I've moved on. It's cool. Then there's a flashback, right, to the moment where Fry gets not abducted, before he falls into that frozen vat or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like Seymour sitting there, and Fry says, "Hey man, just wait, I'm going to be back in 5 minutes." And then there's this like entire montage of Seymour just like sitting there day after day. He doesn't move, like someone feeds him, he gets like thin, then he gets old, and then he just sits down, it starts snowing, and episode ends.
Oh my god.
It might be the most depressing moment I've ever seen.
That's pretty sad.
It's sad.
Oh gosh. Okay.
On that depressing note,
we'll take a break. We'll come back and talk more about
more of this ilk.
More of this ilk, yes.
Yeah.
Over 47% of online users in India have experienced harassment at some point. So if it's two of us inside this recording studio, chances are pretty high that one of us has faced abuse at some point. How do we tackle this? What do we need to do better? Come, let's learn together. Join me on Akanksha Against Harassment at IVM Podcasts every Thursday. Let's learn how to make online a safe place together.
Welcome back to the Geek Fruit Podcast. We are talking adult animation, something that's a lot less shady than it sounds.
Yeah, I know.
Like
What's the best way to say this?
Mature cartoons? That just sounds like
all
a
of it
euphemism.
sounds bad. 18 plus? No, that's weird.
Animation for all ages.
No, animation for all ages is
all
kids,
animation.
No, yeah, that's kids cartoons. But I'm saying animation, cartoons with mature themes.
Yeah,
that's
still
weird.
sounds
Yeah, everything.
There's no good way. Simpsons and family.
Simpsons and Friends. Okay, cool.
Simpsons and Friends.
So we've spoken about Simpsons and Friends. Let's talk about the natural competitor.
The yang to the yin.
Is it?
It's not really.
It's not really.
I feel like it's a lesser show.
It's a lesser show.
Family
Guy.
Guy.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I actually love Seth MacFarlane. I think I know he's a cocky D bag
I feel
sometimes,
like, yeah.
but I think he's a genius, dude. Like, I think he's so.
I
first
think
of
so
all,
too.
I think
He's ridiculously
super
talented.
man.
Yes, for
the
sure.
man does everything. He can act. He can sing like a dream.
He's
oh my
a really
gosh.
good singer.
He's done an album of just jazz standards with like some of the best singers.
And he kills it.
And he nails it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's so good. That cast is terrific, by the
Yeah.
way. Alex Borstein, she's on this new show, man. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Nice.
She's really good in that as well. So that she's who plays Lois in Family Guy. And
Peter. That's not bad.
yeah. But yeah, man, like I think Seth MacFarlane is like, I think he's a genius.
I also
think he's super funny.
like he's ridiculously talented.
Yeah.
I've brought this up when we discussed the Orville.
Yeah.
I like everything the guy does.
Yeah,
but I can't like the guy. I don't know why.
I mean, I like him. I think he knows that but there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah,
dude. Like, I think he's cool. I think he's alright. I think he's smart, and he has funny things to say.
He has funny
and
things to say,
Like, even
true.
if his movies kind of are whatever, like Million Ways to Die in the West was pretty whatever
It was
movie,
pretty
but
whatever.
it's so dumb. It's
Ted
funny.
was decent.
Ted, the first one was decent.
Yeah.
But again,
I
it's
never saw the
like
second
dumb
one.
stuff. This is what I don't like sometimes about adult kind of stuff. Sometimes I don't like the gross, stupid humor, like the
Yes.
dumb humor.
Yeah.
I like the funny shit. Like, the gags are smart. Like, the
Yeah.
puns are good. But like when it's like a barfing thing, or like just like visual humor, like gross kind of stuff, I'm just like, whatever.
Do it
dude.
out.
Yeah, it's not even just do it out. It's just like
It's
it doesn't
weird.
it doesn't make
and
me.
it feels like it's for the sake of it, right?
Yeah, it's just to
I
gross
think
you
that's
out.
what turned
Yeah.
me off Family Guy, because I thought it was a great show. I'd watch a bunch of it, even though I felt like, oh, The Simpsons did it.
Yeah.
But it was fine. It was fun. It was
Okay.
a lot zanier. The jokes were a lot quicker because they didn't bother about like.
And they had the cut to moments, right? Like
they kind of
the
invented
interstitial
that in a lot
comedy.
of ways.
Yeah.
like a shoop, and something
it's
happens
like,
and they cut
oh
back.
my god, this is almost like the time that this thing happened,
Yeah.
and boom, and then it's gone. Right?
Yeah, they worked that template for decades.
Yeah, it's so smart, and it's
Yeah.
really funny, dude. Like, some of it is just absolutely hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, and I've seen a lot of Family Guy. Actually, I've seen more of a stretch of Family Guy than I've seen of Simpsons. Like,
Yeah,
Simpsons,
I
I've
think
seen
I watched
couple
the
of
first
seasons, couple of seasons, couple
few
of seasons.
seasons pretty much like.
I've seen like
all of
10
them,
seasons
yeah.
of Family Guy. Like, straight.
10?
Yeah,
Oof.
yeah. Dude, because it's like the easiest watch ever, dude. Like, you're just having like food or whatever, just put on Family Guy 22
Yeah.
minutes. It's like dumb, it's funny, it does the job, it's over. And I think that's the whole point, like
Yeah.
for Family Guy, that's all you need.
I
right?
think I also went through a phase of like watching a ton of Family Guy. I'll tell you what the difference for me is though. I've never gone back to it, but I've gone back to The Simpsons a ton.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, again, because The Simpsons kind of did it first, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't. If Family Guy did it first, I'd still kind of think that, I would probably go to Family Guy a lot. But man, there's some just like the gags on
The
Family
gags
Guy
are great.
are just so razor sharp, man.
Yeah.
Like there's one scene which is about where it's Quagmire and he's in his house and he's being chased by somebody or something that and it's so funny. He thinks he's about to get laid and like so he's in his when he wears only his his bathrobe and like his undies, right? And then he's running away from this thing that is chasing him and everything he touches and falls into just opens up into a bed and he's just like
I remember this.
Everything he hits is just like a Murphy
It's
bed.
another bed.
And it was so silly, but it's so funny, dude.
It's really nicely done.
Yeah. Just hilarious.
A very similar joke to the Paul McCartney one in The Simpsons that I remembered while you were talking about it is this. It's a sort of post-apocalyptic episode. I don't remember why it's post the apocalypse, but the entire Griffin family lands up in this orchard, which is like the last oasis on Earth.
Right.
And they find Randy Newman there playing a piano, and his entire thing is whatever anyone does, he just sings it. Because Randy Newman just talks, right? So like Lois goes over, she's picking an apple, and he goes like, "Well, that's Lois, and she's picking an apple." And eventually they're like, "Screw this, we're leaving this oasis because we can't stand that guy singing."
Oh, dude, there's another joke also, another gag that they did similarly, where it's like this is almost like the time Peter started narrating his entire life out to himself, and so he's like, I walked into the kitchen and then he keeps doing it, and then finally Lois just smacks him over the head, and then it goes to black. And then suddenly he wakes up. He's like, I awoke several hours later.
Nice.
It's just so stupid, but it's just really funny. So they've done a lot of good stuff that way. Also, man, the Family Guy gave us Stewie, which I think is one of the funniest characters.
Great character.
Because like it's like the diametric opposite of like Maggie, right? Like, because Maggie can't say anything. At least for the longest time, she didn't say a damn word.
Yeah.
And here we had a baby who's like literally cannot stop talking.
A very literate old British dude.
And it's silly. It's so stupid. But
And Brian, another great character. Their combo, they did all...
Brian is like
occasionally
Seth MacFarlane, right? That's his real speaking voice,
And you'd have these Road to So-and-so episodes.
I love those.
Which
those
would be
great.
like musicals featuring just Brian and Stewie. Those were
Dude,
great.
the musicals are so funny. There's one barbershop quartet that they do of what? Vasectomy.
Oh, yeah.
Also, it's just, like so silly. And the harmonies are so good.
Yeah.
And the music is excellent. That ragtime kind of barbershop. It's so good, man.
Which also The Simpsons did, but fine.
Yeah, I know, I guess, yeah.
So Family Guy, begrudgingly, I will admit,
it's a
solid.
great show.
Yeah, it's a
what
great show.
isn't as great a show as American Dad or the Cleveland Show.
They were.
Yeah, but these are spin-offs for the sake of it, I suppose. But
and with less jokes. American Dad, it wasn't a spin-off. It was just a similar show.
It's a similar, but there is an episode where they cross over. Also.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Family Guy meets American Dad and all that stuff. But like, why? Like, why recreate the exact same thing?
Because Family Guy was killing it, Simpsons was falling, and Fox was like, "Hey, Seth MacFarlane, do more shows."
Is Simpsons on Fox? Yeah.
Simpsons is also on
so,
Fox.
Simpsons...
They aired right after each other.
Yeah, I think that there's that caveat in Matt Groening's clause also. It says that he's allowed to make fun of Fox News. Like, yeah, otherwise he won't do it. Yeah. So
nice.
I think that's there. Even Seth MacFarlane also has the same
similar
deal,
clause?
I think so, yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man, I think Family Guy was really strong as a show. I still think it's really funny.
It's a solid show.
Yeah, but the other... And the Meg stuff also, man. Like, and it's a great cast, man. It's like Mila Kunis.
Everyone just shits on her.
And this guy, man, what's his name? Seth Green and everything. It's just
Seth
solid.
Green is
Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
Seth Green and Mila Kunis, solid.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, insane. And then the same amount of guest stars, just like everybody. But except in this, they just play other characters. Like, in The Simpsons, they play themselves a lot. Yeah, and this one, they just play, like, random other characters. So that's cool.
Ah, right. I didn't realize that.
But the Cleveland Show, all this stuff, I didn't get into it. I tried watching American Dad, just didn't get into it.
Yeah, it wasn't... It felt like Family Guy, but not as funny. So why watch it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why watch a lesser version of it? But then why watch Family Guy at all?
Because they have possibly the weirdest cutaway gag, which is also possibly the most hilarious cutaway gag of all time, which is Peter fighting the giant chicken.
Oh, dude, that is
the
genius.
Craziest thing I've ever seen.
Just an unending, right?
Yeah,
that fight scene where they keep...
So,
I love that they just do this entire fight sequence where he just starts fighing with a rooster, basically.
With a giant
rooster.
A guy in a rooster costume.
Oh, no, it is a rooster.
A giant rooster.
It is a rooster. And you know what's the funniest thing? There's a time travel episode where
Right.
they go back in time, and it's like a full Back to the Future kind of ripoff. Okay, so it's this prom date that's happening, and Brian and Stewie are there, and Peter's in the audience or something, and so basically Peter's running through something and he bumps into somebody and he runs off, and then they cut to that guy who's been bumped into, and it's a chicken, and he's just and the other guy's just like, don't worry about it, man, it's fine, it's never, you'll never go see that guy again. It's like so funny.
So
And
from a random gag, they fleshed out 2 full characters.
Yeah, and there's one part at the end where Brian sings, he sings Rick Astley, he sings Never Gonna Give You Up and stuff, and similar to Back to the Future, this guy on the phone is like, hey man, remember that cheap 80s sound you were looking for? Well, listen to this. The exact same Back to
That's
the Future.
That's a great joke.
Yeah.
That's of course one of the greatest moments of all time.
Of all
in
history,
the original Back to the
where
Future
basically
movie.
we took away black music
By going like a white teenager invented the greatest rock and roll musician of all time.
Oh god, yeah. I don't think people would like that if we put it out today. Like, if Back to the Future happened today, people would. I guess they didn't dig it back then, my gosh. Oh, man. So, yeah, Family Guy is great.
Yep.
Very possible. But spin-offs, not so much. What do we have next?
Tell us about South Park.
We have about 5 minutes to discuss
That's
South
cool,
Park.
because I don't have a lot to say about
Yeah.
it. Like, were you ever super into South
So
Park?
I was never into South Park because for the same reasons I was telling you the other stuff, right? Like, when I don't like it when it's just like... So here's the thing. When South Park started, everyone in my school was like, "Oh my
I
god,
know.
South Park!" So because it's so irreverent, I think that's why it obviously drew its audience to that.
It was kids cursing.
Yeah, it was the whole
vulgar.
shut your
Yeah.
fucking face, Uncle Fucker, all
Yeah.
that stuff, which is just
Oh,
like
that
it was
sounds-
just dumb, you know. Like for me, I'd never captured my
I feel
imagination.
like it's very smart under several layers
Yes,
of dumbness, and I was
yes.
like, I'm not digging through so much
Exactly.
ridiculous
But
stuff to get to the kernel of smartness.
Having
in
said
there.
that, when I got to college and I saw a couple of episodes, some of it is just really stupidly funny.
I know it's good.
Yeah,
but
like that one
somehow-
episode where we find out that this Cartman's, I think, whose dad is actually secretly Lord, the singer. Have you
What?
not seen
Oh
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
And that's why
Yeah.
even today at Lord concerts, people go like, yeah, I'm
Oh,
Lord.
yeah. Yeah. He's like, I'm Lord, because actually what he does is that he sings and they show it in the front,
Yeah.
in the what do you call it, audio software, whatever.
Yeah.
And they show his voice, his vocal track when him singing "Just Wanna Be Wrong,"
And it comes
and then they tune it and stuff, and then it suddenly starts playing Lord's song, and it's just so funny.
Such a weird joke that's become a meme.
It's great. That and the
great.
whole them shitting on Canada
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah,
Blame Canada.
It is funny. I really like these two writers. What's them?
Matt Stone and Trey
Parker. They've done Book of Mormon,
Yeah.
and they're really funny guys.
They're solid
So, yeah,
guys.
Yeah,
The show is great. I think it's the fans.
yeah. Maybe it's the
Man,
fans.
like during school when everybody would watch South Park, I was like, these bros are watching South Park. It's probably not for me.
Yeah.
I realized later I was wrong, but fans are annoying sometimes.
Yeah, fans are annoying. And speaking of fans of annoying, have you heard of a
Exactly.
show called Rick and Morty?
Oh no.
Oh god. So like I said, I was telling you this before we started recording this episode, but to sound like a hipster, not even saying to not sound like a hipster, but I really did start watching Rick and Morty in its first season
Before anybody.
because of this guy. What's his
Dan
name?
Harmon.
Dan Harmon, of course.
Exactly.
I mean,
it
we're
was
big
like,
Community
hey,
fans.
the guy from Community is doing a cool animated show.
And we were
I
just
watched
like, let's
and it was
watch it.
Great.
And it was a great science fiction show.
Yeah.
And now the Rick and Morty bros are out there.
There's so many Rick and Morty bros.
Yeah.
It,
And they
especially
just-
like
they've
this
ruined
previous
it.
season.
Yeah.
So there's this whole episode about like Pickle Rick and Szechuan sauce and whatnot.
I
right?
get it. It's funny.
But just
But chill the out, dude.
Rick and Morty fans, chill the out.
Yeah, man. I don't get. I mean, like I like Rick and Morty. It's a really funny show. It's actually really smart. Like the writing is so brilliant.
It's
But
great.
it's no BoJack Horseman. Anyway,
Oh, shots fired.
yeah. I don't know why this comparison has become a thing.
Those fans literally shut down McDonald's and rioted
Yeah.
because McDonald's brought back Szechuan sauce, which was like a discontinued
Yeah,
sauce
yeah,
of theirs,
I know.
because it was mentioned in Rick and Morty, and they protested. They're like, McDonald's is doing you a favor already.
Yeah.
Why are you being dicks about it?
Yeah, God, just stupid people.
Oh well.
But having said that,
When bad
Justin
fans
Roiland,
happen to good shows.
is another episode we gotta do.
Oh shit, yeah.
Justin Roiland, genius.
solid dude.
What a guy, dude.
Yeah.
Doing both Rick and Morty, obviously. I mean, that's actually the second Back to the Future reference we have in this episode because Rick and Morty
Rick and Morty are
was
based off the
used to be
BTDF guys.
Yeah, its pilot was a thing called Doc and Marty, and
Yeah.
it just became a spin-off of that. But yeah, man, great show, super funny. Obviously, and
Just the fans gotta back off.
Great science fiction concepts actually used in the show. Yeah, really
Like some
smart.
of the weirdest ones.
Yeah.
I think my favorite gag is from like back in season 1 or 2
Yeah.
where they land on this like beautiful planet with the screaming sun.
Yeah.
And like they just get off and the sun continuously screams and they're like, okay, I guess we're gonna leave this one then.
I think my favorite gag is also from season 1. When they go, it's that Inception thing when they reference Inception,
yeah,
where they keep
yeah,
it-
yeah.
and there's this one like black woman who's just like, you don't know me. Anyway, I just love that. It's so stupid. Anyway, all right.
BoJack Horseman, great
BoJack
show.
Horseman,
We've done a couple of episodes on it. Nothing to say.
Greatest show I've seen,
Yeah.
probably on Netflix. Greatest show on Netflix, I think so.
Greatest show about a horse.
Greatest show? No, just one of
In
the
general.
greatest shows I've seen ever in my life. Simple.
Exactly, man.
We've done an episode on it. I wish I was on it, but
yeah, it was a great.
yeah, go check
great
out that
show,
episode. From I guess a couple of months ago.
Few months ago.
Basically when season
When
3
the last
ended.
season wrapped,
Yeah.
yes.
So BoJack Horseman, we've covered that. What have we got left that we can squeeze into 2.5 minutes?
So this animation company called William Street that makes
Correct.
such stuff as Space Ghost Coast to Coast and Harvey Birdman.
Have we spoken about Harvey Birdman Space Ghost Coast to Coast?
We mentioned Space Ghost Coast to Coast in our
Previous
throwback
animation
cartoons scene. Yeah,
episode. So maybe that's
So this like adult swimmy, surreal, meta commentary sort of cartoons.
We've also spoken about Samurai Jack, which is also Adult Swim.
Yeah,
the
true.
last season was. So we've done an entire episode. on that.
Adult, but Adult Swim,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Another cartoon that I do want to mention is Metalocalypse. Have you ever seen it?
I have not. I've heard
It's
so
the
much about
weirdest.
this, but
So it's all made by this one guy called Brendan Small,
Okay.
who does all the music for the fictional band, which
Right.
is called Death Clock with
Okay.
2 Ks.
okay.
And he does like 90% of the voices. So I think the first couple of seasons was just one guy doing it at home. And this guy is insanely talented. Like he's Seth MacFarlane, but for metal.
Nice.
I think. So he does all these like shreddy riffs. He plays all the drums and does everything.
Killer.
Then he creates this band, which is
He's like Sal Makija.
he's
Yeah,
Simon
yeah,
Makeja.
he basically plays everything. Yeah.
Like great guy, very funny show. So it's all this like super serious metal stuff, but it doesn't take itself seriously. Again, perhaps like Sahil Makeja.
Nice. I love
And
it.
like so, Death Clock is this Spinal Tap-ish metal band
Okay.
that is considered the 6th biggest economy in the universe. It's really weird to
I
explain.
gotta check this out. This is great.
It's
Oh,
definitely
see.
worth checking out. And like people love the fictional music in the show so much
that it's a real.
Yeah, Brendan Small started
That's
releasing albums as
Dude,
Death
that's
Clock.
exactly how Porcupine Tree started, man.
Really?
Yeah, it was a fictional band first, and he started releasing music under that, like as it's like almost like a thing. And then like they were like, well, everyone really likes this music, and then he made it like a real band that he would play with, like
Nice.
live. Yeah,
Well,
all these talented guys, man. It's crazy.
man.
Yeah, man. So that's there. What about King of the Hill, Bob's Burgers? Have you checked out all these shows?
King of the Hill I've seen a bit of, again because Greg Daniels
Oh,
created that.
of course he did.
Solid show. I never watched a lot of it because it wasn't easy to access. You'd have to download it. It never aired anywhere, if I remember correctly.
That's been a problem for some of these shows. Even Bob's Burgers, I haven't really had the
even I
chance
haven't
to.
really watched Bob Burgers. I've
did
seen
you
like
ever watch
bits of it. but,
this
yeah.
show called Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
With the 4,
Yeah.
like a bag of fries and whatnot. I've seen bits of it.
That was also Adult Swim. It was actually
it's a
really
very
funny.
Adult Swim
It was,
show.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
Adult Swim. Very funny actually, and but again, very difficult to access this content.
Seems like
in
Teen
India.
Titans Go if the 4 of them were fast food
Oh
things.
my god, so yeah, very random, very
Yeah.
vague. Another one I can think of was Happy Tree Friends, which was making the rounds when we were in school.
Right,
Just
yeah.
gore, absolute gore.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Again, these seem like part of the fun of it would be the juxtaposition of like these ridiculously violent things.
Yeah,
and
which has never been my penchant anyway.
exactly.
Like,
Like consider if Itchy and Scratchy from The Simpsons was an actual cartoon,
or if Cow and Chicken was adult.
or if Cow and Chicken was adult.
that's
yeah,
it, yeah.
it's not our bag.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
So we have listed out these shows for you guys. Check out some of them if you haven't. Where have you been living?
Yeah.
And if
Tell us your favorite
tell us,
Simpsons
tell us.
episode.
I mean, we would have loved to talk about more like adult cartoons, like maybe Spawn and things like
Yeah.
that. But maybe you can save it for another episode. Yeah, maybe on superheroes or something like that. Let's see. Let us know.
in the
Write to
next
us.
installment of our never-ending cartoon series.
Yeah, I love that it's never ending.
so
It's
many
great.
cartoons.
There
It's
are too
great.
many cartoons.
I love it.
I love that there are too many cartoons. Contact geekfruit@gmail.com is our email address. Find us on all social media at geekfruithq on Twitter, Instagram, and what else? Facebook, I suppose.
Facebook,
Yeah. Forgot the. How quickly we forget. Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Dinks. See you
Thanks,
guys.
T.
All right. See you later, you nerds.
He bends down to test the warm water for his bath. He comes here to quench his thirst for a hot shower and some podcasts. You can witness how he enjoys having other people talk about cool stuff in his bathroom. Indeed, it helps him with his loneliness. You can find more of his species on ivmpodcast.com, your one-stop destination where you can check out the coolest Indian podcasts. Happy listening.